welcome to the Comixly Podcast, the official podcast of Comixly.com. You are listening to episode number 12. My name is Joseph, and I'm here with Angela today. Usually record this over the internet, but today we get to be in person, so I think we're kind of gonna go past the little intro I usually do at the beginning of these and just kind of get right into our episode, which is a wrap-up of 2020. Just kind of what we enjoyed, did not do this year. We started doing this podcast in September. Was it September? Yeah, something about September, right? So this is our 12th episode, so we're doing it for 3 or 4 months. Trying to get a little bit more regular with our record and release schedule. This will just be a little review of what this year has been for us and sort of how. And then also some discussion about how doing the podcast towards the end of the year has changed the way that we interact or look forward to or consume those, the media, right? The books and the games and all the things that we've talked about so far. And I think that's the question we probably want to start with, Ange, is just how has doing this podcast changed the way that you approach the entertainment or what we pick something we're going to talk about it, and just how has it changed the way that you approach that that piece of media that we're going to be talking about on the podcast that week?
I think for sure a big thing that I've noticed is that we get to watch movies and talk about them and things like that, but the first step is always watching the movie or sitting down and listening to the podcast or getting through that one video game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not homework because it's I don't not want to do it, but sometimes just having that the pressure of actually needing to finish it can be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just because I can be sometimes lazy and I don't like to get things done to completion all the time.
Do you feel like you have to pay more attention ever, or is it just the fact that you have to do it? Is it just simply that it's a thing you have to do?
I should be paying more attention, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more just what I have to, because I feel like I can talk about it good if I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I paid more attention, I
Mm-hmm.
would be even better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's similar feelings for me. Just suddenly going from a thing that you could do, right? Suddenly it's that distinction, right, between I'm making the choice to spend my time, and I guess we're still making the choice to spend our time with Way, but there is that just added thing that you're counting on me to do this, and or some other person is counting on me to do this, right, for this thing, and there's a deadline, versus just that I'll do this completely entirely on my own time when I want to, in the sort of headspace that I am whenever I get to it, right? As opposed to sort of, I know the thing is for me is I'll put off watching or listening or reading something until I'm I'm not in the right headspace to do this right now, because I guess I don't know. I want to. I'm a little bit more worried that if I don't pay attention, that I won't be ready or have something interesting to say, right? And I guess we don't always have to have something interesting to say, right? Because I think if it always is that, right, suddenly you're maybe not enjoying it because you're being too critical. But I think it's definitely that thing where it's it's not entirely just my own decision anymore to do it, and that's that for whatever reason that changes the way I approach it. I don't exactly know. And I guess I don't really know why that is. You mentioned the word homework. Does it feel like homework doing this sometimes?
It's more I'm in a book club.
Okay.
Where it's I volunteered to be part of this book club because I wanted to be in this book club, and I enjoy this book club when I go to it.
Yeah.
But sometimes the actual reading of the book, if I'm feeling lazy.
Yeah. And I think we've talked, you've mentioned that to me the other day, right? We always feel good after we like record the episode, right? And like having that conversation or whatever is actually really enjoyable, but there is a certain amount of like anxiety or stress in the lead up to it. I think that book club's analogy is really good. I've never been a part of a book club.
Me neither.
We were going to do one at work last year and then no one read the book, so it didn't happen. But I imagine that is the feeling, right? You're like, because there is that thing, right? Do you feel like you want to have something intelligent to say or just something to say at all? Or like, do you not worry about that so much?
Depends. If I really enjoyed it, I want to like have something intelligent to say. But if it's like when we did that Slaughterhouse 5 graphic novel and I didn't enjoy it so much, I was more content to let you do the talking.
Oh, but I thought you had really good. I still think about that thing you said about the art, where they should have split up the art in that. They should have right, because that book is told like in flash forwards and flashbacks. No, I know, but they like. I thought you made a really good point in the way that they could have just made some like really. They could have made the story more interesting if they made the art more interesting. And I because I went back after the episode and like read that graphic novel was on a bunch of like best graphic novels of the year lists, and I was like, I don't know what else is out there as far as graphic novels, but like it was good, it was interesting, it was good, but like I don't know.
I guess I'm just really smart without even trying.
It might just be that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've got a couple categories here, and we know everyone does categories for this type of thing, but lots of categories. I guess we wanted these to sort of be things that were just more specific to what our year looked like. And yeah, so we have a couple pretty standard ones like games and TV shows and podcasts and music or whatever, but then we also have some more interesting ones at the end that I think will make. I'm actually probably more excited to talk about those, but we'll leave those for the end.
Same.
And we started this podcast off with the game, right? Our first episode we played Oxenfree, so I think it's only sort of appropriate to start with just what are the favorite games we played this year, right? And these are not games that necessarily came out this year. They're just games that these are the games that we played this year, right? I guess I can start us off. I have a couple here. So my first one's Outer Wilds, which is it's a first person game, which means Angela, we learned recently that Angela does not do well with first person games, which is fine because I don't love first person games. I like Angela gets a little bit motion sick with so we're when we do play games, we're gonna try to find like third person and platforming type stuff, and I think that's good because that pushes me out of my comfort zone a little bit with the types of games I play. But Outer Wilds, it's like this first person game where you are trying to you're caught in a time loop and you're trying to unravel like why that time loop is happening, and over the course of the game you find out that spoiler for Outer Wilds, which has been out for about 2 years, you find out that this time loop is occurring at the heat death of the universe. The sun is about to explode, and everything in the near solar system is going to die, right? Is going to cease to exist. And sort of what does that mean for your actions as a player, and sort of how do you spend those ending minutes, right? It's a 22-minute time loop, right? How do you spend those last 22 minutes even when you play them over and over? This game, it's beautiful. I'm not much of a crier. I don't like, just in most things, I'm a little bit dead inside, but this game definitely made me tear up, just in the way that, in just what it says about like what's important when you have a limited time left and how you're spending it. So also the soundtrack, I think I mentioned the soundtrack on a previous episode when we did like our favorite things. The soundtrack is amazing. It's like space banjos and guitars, and I don't know how they did it, but it's like if outer space had music, I think that is the music I would want to hear. So Outer Wilds is definitely like, that is the best game I played this year. Hades that is a game that came out this year. Angela, you got a little chance to play that recently.
And I wasn't bad at it.
Wasn't bad at it, no. Hades is fun. I put a lot of time into it. It's a run-based game where you're sort of repeating the same dungeons over and over again with different builds, trying to get farther and farther until you get to the end. And that repetitive loop, Supergiant Games really figured out, right, they're the makers of this game, they really figured out a way to make that interesting and enjoyable, even when you are doing it again and again, which is a huge accomplishment, because I think this, like, definitely for me, it's a rogue. I tried a couple other roguelikes this year, didn't like them, and then Hades was the one that, like, it really clicked for me. So making a genre work, or like making a genre enjoyable that I didn't think I liked, is like a huge accomplishment. So that was awesome. Other games, I don't have a ton to say about these other games I played this year. Destiny 2, which I'm actually going to talk about a little bit later. Put a lot of time into that in like August, late July, early August. Put a lot of time into that game, but like haven't touched it for a couple months. Months. Also played a lot of Baba Is You, which is like a puzzle game that sort of has you define the rules of your world as you're playing the game, and until you sort of create the successful final end state. Really, like challenging game that is asking you to think about game design in a way that a lot of other games, in a way that just games don't, period. But like really hard, and I think about it and I want to go back and play it, but like I also know the level that I'm stuck at, and I can't get past, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go bang my head against that wall again right now. But really, really good game. Yeah, so Ange, what about you? You've got a couple games here on this list.
Yeah, so I guess first I also hopped in the Among Us wagon. I played it a couple times with you and then some friends. Just over the internet. It was really fun. Yeah. I feel like I haven't played it in a while, but since then I've watched a lot of playthroughs of like gamers playing it, so I think I would do a whole lot better now if we tried again. Have
you seen the new map? Have you seen anyone play? I think there's a new map.
I don't know. Okay. All I know is that they have proximity chat, and I really want to try that, but you can't because you have a MacBook. But I really like that one. We've been playing a lot of Overcooked. I got that one. Overcooked 2, right at the end of the year. But we are almost done with the game. We're on like level 6.2 or whatever. Yeah. I really like those games that you can play with people, because I'm not really a gamer, so playing with people makes it more fun.
Did you try any of that by yourself?
Overcooked?
Yeah.
No.
None of it?
I'm not touching that. I know I can't.
Okay. So who did you get through those initial levels with?
My friends Ava and Bijou.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it just wouldn't... Is the fun of that game with other people?
The fun is with other people, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And then briefly, when I was younger, I had The Sims on an iPad, and I played it all the time. And then once everything shut down, I downloaded The Sims again, and it was really cool. And then I forgot about it, and they all like peed themselves and threw up everywhere, and I deleted the app.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
You come back, and they're all like stinky, and they all like wet themselves.
That's not what happens in Animal Crossing, right?
No, they just... Oh, I also had that game. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Animal Crossing didn't stick in your head, though?
No, I guess I didn't enjoy it that much, but I didn't think about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Animal Crossing, like, it's cool. I'm just... I think we were talking about this earlier when I was like, I'm not going to finish, like, a game because it won't bother me if I leave it uncompleted. And that's how I feel about Animal Crossing. Like, I don't care to make my town beautiful or anything.
Okay. So, the thing with that game, right, is, like, you kind of play it for a little bit every day, right?
That's what they want you to do.
That's what they want you to do. Does that appeal to you? Or, like, I don't know, do you tend to, like...
I time skipped.
You time skipped? Oh, you did? Okay.
I cheated.
Okay.
Yes, and then I was bored of how my town looked, and I started all over, and I regretted it immediately.
Okay.
I haven't touched it.
And you haven't gone back for, like, the winter or the fall stuff?
I go back if my friends are playing it.
Okay.
But, like, then I just go to their towns.
Okay. All right. Okay. Nice. Okay, so those are games. Let's move on to TV shows. And why don't you start us, Ange, with this?
Alrighty. I guess the first one I watched that I really liked was Killing Eve. you guys had put it on when you would come home in March.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically watched all of the available episodes on Hulu this year. So that was really fun. That was a fun binge watch.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that one. I started watching a lot of K-dramas and C-dramas, which I will talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite one out of that was a Korean drama called 8-to-1 Class. It's about like this dude who is trying to start this pub, and there's like lots of drama, and the food looks delicious. And it's just like, it's a really good storyline because, I don't know, I just really like K-drama. Also found out that the restaurant / pub, it's called Danbam. There's like a Danbam in like Idaho or somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, there's that. And then lastly, The Good Place.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that one a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I just recently watched like the final 2 seasons that I hadn't watched yet, and I really liked it, and I suggested that we do a podcast episode about it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get to that next couple months. We'll have an episode about The Good Place. Nice. What
about you?
Okay. Well, so which one of those, like, do you think is the most rewatchable? Like, which one of those is...
I wouldn't rewatch it.
Any of them?
Well, my favorite one I wouldn't rewatch.
Yeah.
Because it's 8-to-1 Class,
Okay.
and those are like, that's like, each episode is like an hour and a half time commitment with lots of like fluff.
Okay.
But I feel like I would recommend everyone to watch it because it's something different.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Nice. So for me, so you had a couple, like Killing Eve, not dark humor,
I'm
right?
all
Like
over
some
the place with
some
my
funny
TV shows, yes.
dark humor. Good Place is like kind of funny, but like there's definitely some like thought provoking stuff in there.
But I feel like it's
mostly a comedy. Okay, and then 8-to-1 Class is a drama.
Korean drama.
Korean drama. Okay. So both of mine are comedies, right? These are the 2 shows that made me laugh the hardest this year. And I think that's why I remember them the most, right? We didn't get like a new season of Succession this year, which I think, a lot of people are looking forward to that when that comes back next year. But 2 shows that I most enjoyed this year were How To with John Wilson, which is this little show that just like showed up. I mean, obviously not, but like, it's HBO, so it's obviously a big deal, but it seems like it just showed up on HBO one day. And it's, I looked at it one time and it was like how to like make conversation. It has these weird, like how to do something. And it's like, is he really, and one of them's about like scaffolding, and one of them's like how to cover your furniture. And one of them's like how to make conversation with strangers or something, or how to make small talk. And it's like, I don't really want a show that is about that. I don't want to watch that show. I don't know what that is, right? But so I had looked at it a couple times and didn't click on it, but watched the first episode for some reason at one day, and like it's those, whatever the topic is, right, whatever it's scaffolding or covering your furniture with plastic or small talk, right, it's just a jumping off point into some other weird story. So the episode about scaffolding, right, goes into like, he lives in the show's base and he lives in New York City, so it's all this footage of the city, and it's him talking about like the scaffolding industry, right? So he goes to like a scaffolding convention and talks to like people about their thoughts about scaffolding, and it sounds like the dumbest thing in the world, but it's however he puts it together, right? He manages to like create maybe not so much as a narrative as just to like take that topic and expose different facets of it, right? So like the scaffolding convention, right? These people who are like really interested in like there being a lot of scaffolding everywhere, and right, and how they like start to make scaffolding look beautiful, and then like, but then it's like, how is that like covering up the architecture, and like what is that doing to like the presentation of the city if there's this like beautiful scaffolding but it's like covering up these buildings, and then like, is it dangerous, right? It just he goes all these different directions that you can't predict with each of these topics, but it's also just hilarious. You know, when he's talking about like how to cover your furniture, right? He like takes this idea of covering things to like a very literal and slightly, definitely weird, maybe slightly disturbing place about like what people are covering. So it's just, and it's really delightful, right? Like you can't predict because like no, you know, it feels very much, you know, obviously a lot of people worked on it, but it feels like very much the product of this one guy's mind, right? And you can't predict where he's going to take any of these subjects. And he knows how to interest you, and he knows how to like entertain you, right? He knows how to make you laugh. And I haven't laughed so hard at anything this year as I did at some of those episodes. So I'd really recommend that show. And then the second is season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows, came out earlier this year, which is a show about modern day vampires living on Long Island, which sounds ridiculous, but is like the comedy is so, where they find comedy is so sharp and creative, and like they don't find comedy in cruelty, right? Like I think it's a very kind show, right? It's about like these vampires who have been living together for like hundreds of years. So I think they genuinely like each other, but like they've just, you know, they have these like they have these people called familiars, and they're the people who, like, if you kind of do what this vampire says for a while, they'll eventually turn you into a vampire, right? And so like there's, you know, one of the familiars like has like a side hustle, which you're not supposed to do, but like how does that interact with his like duties as a vampire? And like it just finds comedy in like these weird, you know, like, you know, in wordplay and like physical comedy, in all these different places, and it is just all so ridiculous and outrageous, and nothing like makes me happy. I think it's definitely a brand of comedy, right? Because you watched the show, Ange, and you watched the movie that it's based on, and you were not into it so much.
No, I was not.
Yeah, so it's definitely like kind of dry, like very ridiculous. So it's not for everyone, I would say, but I really love it. The next category is Best Podcast, and I just have a couple for this, so I'll go through this pretty quick. For me, like a lot of the like media I can consume this year kind of needed to just kind of be funny and ridiculous, or it needed to really be responding to like what was going on in the world this year, right? So that's politically, that is socially, that is culturally. It couldn't ignore that stuff. Anything that's like, I don't want politics involved with my art. I don't want politics involved with my media. I don't want like social movements. I don't want discussions of like class and race and all of that. Like keep that separate from the stuff that like makes me happy. Like I struggled with that stuff this year. So the podcasts that I gravitated towards this year were ones that could integrate that into discussions of other topics, right? So the first one is Citations Needed, and their whole thing is, how does the media influence, right, in popular culture specifically, how does the popular culture influence the way that we think about politics, right? So they'll talk about things about how Muslims and what is referred to as the Middle East reflected in popular culture, and how does that affect the way people respond to like Bush and Obama era policies in regards to the Middle East, right? Because those two things are not separate, right? If all of your depictions of of Muslims or people who practicing the religion of Islam are negative, right? Then, you know, when, you know, Obama's like sending drones over to the Middle East, like people are maybe gonna like not care, right? That's not a thing they're gonna care about because they don't have a critical or nuanced view of that part of the world and people from those religions or cultures. So they really go in like hard and deep on a lot of popular culture, thinking about how does this affect the way we think about our politics. The second show is The Ringer FC, which is just, I think with a lot of shows, right, with you have like if it's a basketball show, what they actually mean is they're talking about the NBA, right? They're not actually talking about the WNBA, right? Or like international basketball. And this show is much more equitable in that sense, right? They talk about European soccer, they talk about European women's soccer, they talk about American soccer, they talk about South American soccer, women's soccer all over the world, right? They like, it's a lot of like to keep track of, but they do keep track of what is going on in the men's and the women's game all over the world, and are able to talk about it knowledgeably and intelligently. But they're also able, they also don't shy away from like the discussion of, like in the Premier, right? In the English Soccer League this year, they're having a No Room for Racism campaign, right? And they're talking about one of them is a former Premier League player, a former black Premier League player, and he's not afraid to like talk about his experience as being a black player in the Premier League and what he knows that these players are going through, and like how that needs to be addressed by the league running that, right? So, not being afraid as a podcast to talk about politics, even though it's a soccer podcast. And then last two they come from the same podcast network. It's Bad End and Bullet Points, which are video games podcasts, but are, criticizing video games through this social, cultural, political lens, right? How are video games representing the politics and the culture of our day, and like recognizing that video games are not made in a bubble and they're not apolitical, right? They are saying things about the world and the way it works, and like whose stories get told and how we represent different people, different ways of living in these games, and what we're saying about those people and the way that people live. And so, all of these, right, it just kind of across the board media, like these things that entertain us are not separate from those like bigger social and cultural and political discussions that we're having. And so I needed that in the podcast I was listening to this year. And then just shout out to This American Life, which, has been around for I think this is its 25th year actually. And it's still a really good show, right? Not every week is amazing, but I think probably the best single podcast episode I listened to was their episode from August 7th, which was called Made to be Broken. And I don't want to say too much about it, because I think if it kind of just surprises you, it's going to be more enjoyable. But it's about rules that are made to be broken. And it spends most of this time on this one story about a guy giving a speech. He had a 5-minute time limit, and he's giving this speech and sort of what happens as he's giving that speech. It's surprising, and it's told with a lot of like empathy and room for that, and room for that person to tell his story, because they interview the guy who gave the speech. So that episode just, blew me away and was really amazing. All right, Angela, you are going to talk about your best new artists of the year.
Yeah. So we did a podcast where we talked about BTS. Mm-hmm. And I think I talked about this, but it was just this year I discovered K-pop in general. And like...
Would you, like, what was that process? Or like, what do you mean discovered?
Okay. So there was this YouTuber that I started watching. She's like in college. She seems really smart, because most of her vlogs are like her studying, which motivates me to study.
It's just her studying?
Like a time lapse of her studying. Like she'll like cook and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
The YouTuber, I think it was Yora Jung. But she will like reference BTS in a lot of her videos, and I was like, what's this BTS business about? And I had like no idea like what K-pop like was necessarily, or like anything. So I started like watching them on YouTube. I really liked it, and now I have like a bunch of BTS merch, and they were my #1 artist of the year on Spotify. So yeah, I would say I'm a pretty big fan now.
Okay. And that was all this year?
That was all this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was honestly like, I think because I started watching them after I came back from school.
Okay.
Which was going to be like January 25th, 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's a super, super big one.
Yeah. It's cool to like discover a big interest like that. Yeah.
Right? It makes me think that I need to find more interest though, because like I feel like this can't be the only thing I'm interested in. There else is just like a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So another artist I sort of rediscovered is Rin Weaver. I used to listen to like one song by her, Octa Hate. It came out in like 2013, 2014. But she hasn't put out any new albums or songs since 2018. Her last album was in 2015.
Okay.
Called The Fool. I really like, I think it's her first song or whatever on there, Pierre. It's kind of trending on TikTok now.
What type of music?
It's, Wikipedia says it is pop music, alternative rock, indie pop, synth pop, electro pop.
Who would you compare to that I might know? Is it like Carly Rae Jepsen? No. Okay.
No. And she has like a very interesting voice. I don't want to say the word like warbly.
Okay.
Like she can do this thing with her voice that's really cool. And
Okay.
it's like lower. I don't know.
Okay.
I like it.
But it is more poppy, dancey, or no?
It's like the type of music that if you're watching like an indie alternative film, it plays at the end.
Okay.
When they're driving away off to college.
That's a very good description. Got it.
Yeah.
Got
which
it.
is like, obviously that's like, no hate on that.
Yeah,
that's
no,
like
absolutely
great.
not.
Music
That is
has
not
to be good for it to like give you that kind of feel.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Lastly, Kid Travis. He's not like a super, super big artist. I'm pretty sure he has some stuff on Spotify. He mostly does like covers of songs. He did covers of like Post Malone songs. She did Sad by XXXTentacion, and that was my favorite one. He has like his voice is very like chill. It's like playing like a rainy day or something.
Okay.
I really like that. It's yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Very cool. So BTS. How do you say that?
Rin Weaver.
Rin.
Like for Aaron.
Oh, Okay, yeah, that's cool. And then Kid Travis. Nice. Why don't you take us into the next topic?
Topic. All right. Best things we cooked this year. Should I kick it off? I'll kick it off.
Yeah, you go for it.
So I'm away at college for the most part. So you really learn how to get creative by being lazy, or you be creative by being lazy. I don't know.
What, you don't know which comes from the creative?
Like you're lazy, so you have to make creative stuff out of your laziness.
Got it.
So that spam.
Spam.
I didn't really know what spam was. Like I had an idea.
We didn't eat spam growing up.
I thought it was just what like you get when like you don't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty good if you cook it right. And
if you cook it right.
It doesn't come out of the can. It comes out of a can. And it doesn't smell very good. But once it gets cooked, it's pretty good. I've been trying to find ways to like make stuff with spam in it. So like spam fried rice. I like to make like sandwiches, like egg, cheese, and spam. I think it would be cool. We had kimbap the other day. I think I've seen someone put like kimbap in spam, which I think would be cool. Darian and I made spam musubi.
That was good. There's a restaurant here. I don't know if she told you. There's a restaurant here where you can get spam musubi. It was really good.
Why haven't we gone yet?
We could, or we'll just order it before you leave. But that was no offense. It was better than the one that you made. It was.
It's fine. I didn't make it. Darian.
Oh, okay. So. It was better than what she made. That I got it just for her, and then I took it back and was like, oh, I would. Like, if you didn't tell me this was spam, I would just, like, eat it. I guess I'm not totally, like...
And, well, the trick is, get the spam light, because it's not salty.
Yes. Okay. All right, what else you got?
So, it's Japanese rolled omelet, which is called tamagoyaki. Last year... No, it was this year. It was, like, last school year. I got a tamagoyaki pan, which is just, like, a rectangular pan, because I'd seen it in all the YouTube videos I was watching, and... I, like, never used it until this semester, and it's just, like, you have, like, your scrambled egg, and then you put it in the pan, and you let it cook, like, put some on the pan, let it cook, roll it up, put more of the egg on the pan.
Is it very thin?
Keep on rolling it up. Here's a picture. And then, like, you can put vegetables in it. I sometimes like to put cheese in it, and I've been making a lot of that.
Oh, so there's multiple layers.
Yeah, it's like you keep on
thin
rolling
layers
it.
of it. Okay, got it.
So you can put stuff in between the layers.
Okay.
That's been really fun because it's like a cute little snack.
What do you put between the layers?
Cheese, sometimes like onion, scallion, depends what I have.
Okay.
Sometimes if you put too much stuff in the layers, though, it doesn't roll very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then your fire alarm goes off because it's very touchy. But yeah, that's one other thing. And then jarred spaghetti, but I add stuff to it. None of these have good names. But like, usually what my boyfriend does is we get a jar of spaghetti and noodles, and then I make the sauce. I add meat to it, and like I add like sugar. We have some of that like red cooking wine, and you're supposed to add butter at the end to like finish it. Yeah, I do that.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
Nice, very nice.
What about you?
So the big one for me this year, I only made it a couple times because we don't need a ton of pasta, but I forget what episode of the Chef Show, but whatever season, I think it was like season 4 that came out this year. They did an episode. It was just the episode where Roy and John were in the kitchen cooking. But they made like meatballs and a couple other things, but they made what Roy called $4 spaghetti. And it's one of those episodes where it's one of those recipes where you use the cooking water from the pasta to like add it to the sauce to thicken it up.
I'm pretty sure it's split a lot.
Yeah, I think that's like I think that's pretty traditional in like Italy and France, and using because I never like really done that, but I was like, oh, because the cooking water has a ton of starch in it, so it thickens it up. But yeah, so you use like this mushroom stock, which is just mushrooms and water, and then it's like tomato sauce, and then the cooking water. And you sort of whip it all together with some cheese really fast, and it like thickens up in this really nice way. I made that a couple times. And it's nice because it makes like the recipe makes like a bunch of sauce, and it makes a bunch of mushroom stock and mushrooms, and so it makes all this like extra stuff that you can use in like other random recipes. So I loved that. Second one was I started making. I really like making Thai curries, but I don't love the stuff that you can buy at the store. So I started. And it probably isn't like Thai curry. It's just like a green spicy paste that I ended up mixing with coconut milk and then cooking vegetables in to make a curry. It's mostly like basil and shallots, soy sauce, a bunch of like pepper, salt, a couple other spices. But it's just like this really spicy. It's really fragrant. I feel like the stuff you get at the stores, you can always kind of tell it's from the store. It has this sort of like, I don't know, never even, because there's a couple brands that are like good, but I don't know, they're just always, I feel like you can always tell that they've been like packaged, and this one tastes really fresh in a way that I really like. So I made a bunch actually and froze it, and so I've been going through that really slowly and really enjoying that. You just put everything in the food processor, and it's quite easy to make once you get everything chopped up. And the last one, this was like way early in quarantine. I baked 2, I'm not really a baker, but I baked 2 cakes. So they weren't like great. Angela can tell you they weren't great. They weren't like horrible, but they weren't great. But I was just really proud because I like followed the recipe and I like frosted them and they looked okay. They had layers. Yeah. So I was just proud of that. Because I'm not much of a baker, but it was nice to be able to do that this year.
How about, should I introduce the next one?
Next one, yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a you thing.
Yeah.
You called it replacement entertainment. Why? What's replacement entertainment?
So, I guess I was thinking about it is we didn't get any Marvel movies this year. We got that Harley Quinn movie right at the beginning, which I actually really liked that movie. Mm-hmm. It's very energetic and colorful. But I like how like big and like zany that movie is. I think Margot Robbie's really good. I think I forget the guy's name who's in that movie. It's the guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi. But he's really good in that movie. But yeah, we didn't get any Marvel movies, right? We didn't get any Star Wars movies. Like, a bunch of like big like Top Gun and the new Ghostbusters and not Mission Impossible, James Bond, right? A bunch of these like really big movies were like pushed out of this year to next year just because movie theaters were closed. But I just didn't miss any of them at all. And so I was like, I was trying to think about why that is. And I think I think there's a couple things that this is TV, these are other like TV shows and movies that I like was really invested in this year that sort of replaced those things so I didn't miss them. So the first one was The Mandalorian Season 2, which came out, was coming out at the end of the year, right? When we would maybe get a Star Wars movie. And like, I don't know. I thought The Last Jedi was pretty bad. Maybe we'll do that at some point, but I don't know. I thought that movie was bad. And so The Mandalorian being like good, whatever you think about it, I think it's pretty enjoyable. I loved seeing Ahsoka Tano in there this year. That made me really happy. But I think that was like all the Star Wars that I needed. Or all the live action Star Wars that I needed. Because the other thing is also Star Wars, which is Season 7 of the animated show The Clone Wars came out earlier this year, which wrapped up that show in the most like satisfying and appropriate way. That was a big show for me when I was growing up. Like I watched the first couple of seasons of that week to week on, I think it was Cartoon. I forget if it was Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, but I think it was Cartoon Network when it came out. And so just like getting a really nice, satisfying conclusion for that for Ahsoka, and sort of, seeing how seeing how her story ended, but also how they led it up right into the beginning of Episode 3, was really awesome to watch, right? So between those two, I really got my like Star Wars fix this year, and I think that replacing a new Star Wars movie or like one of those Marvel movies, I would have been really excited about. And then the third one is, have you watched a movie and like listened to people talk over the movie at the same time?
Oh,
there's like a couple podcasts.
Does like the Lord of the Rings make count?
Well, like how
like,
they put like
real time
commentary tracks over the movie? Have you
I
really?
would hate that.
Oh, okay.
I hate it when people talk during movies.
Okay, so then this might not be for you. So there's this podcast I really like, and they do this thing where they put a movie on and they like sync it up and they tell you when the movie starts. And so you put the movie on and just like you can watch the movie and listen to them talk about ideally they're theoretically they're talking about the movie, but it usually ends up talking about other stuff at the same time, right? But they've done like all the Star Wars movies, they've done like half the Marvel movies, they've done like a couple Jurassic Park movies, they did the Santa Claus, or not this, they did Jingle All the Way recently. They did like a Christmas movie. It's usually a movie that pretty good, so you don't really have to pay attention. So you can listen to them just because you know what's happening on the screen. Yeah. But just rewatching old movies with this sort of new layer over the top, I really enjoyed doing that this year. And I think that helped me not miss seeing actual new movies. Yeah, those are the things that kind of replace going to the movie theater for me. But Angela, you found new hobbies this year, which I didn't. So I'm like very impressed by this. What were new hobbies did you discover this year?
Well, I guess I don't know if you call watching K-dramas and C-dramas a hobby. Maybe that
your commitment to it is impressive though, because like you told me about how long they are and how many episodes they are. So your commitment to it is impressive. So I think it's a hobby at this point.
Why, thank you. Yeah, so I started watching K-dramas and Korean dramas and Chinese dramas. There's a lot of good ones out there. I noticed those Chinese dramas, the plot isn't always as strong as Korean dramas. But I mean, I think my favorite Korean drama is definitely Itaewon Class, Crash Landing on You, Hi Bye Mama. Those are on Netflix. And then I started watching Goblin, the Great and Lonely God, I think it's called. That's on Rakuten. That one, I'm not talking about them because I haven't finished it yet. Okay. But I feel like all the plots are really like interesting. Like Crash Landing on You, this lady is like parachuting and then crashes into North Korea.
From South
Korea, and like falls in love with some like tall, dark army general. Tall, dark, and handsome army general.
Okay.
Which I think is like a fun little plot thing. Hi Bye Mama is the mom. She was like pregnant and then got hit by a car, died, the baby survived, and she's just been a ghost hanging around the baby and her husband, who's since remarried.
How do they show her as a ghost? Is she just like a person?
She's just like a person
that no one else except that one person can see, or
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But then what happens is she like curses out the gods, and they make her human.
Oh.
And it's like you have like 32 days to reclaim your place, or you're like gone. You're like sent up.
Oh.
And it's interesting because it's sort of like she can also still talk, because there's like all other ghosts like in like South Korea are just like milling about, because like they can decide when they want to go up, but none of them want to go because they have family here. They want to make sure they're all right. So like then there's this like shaman who's just trying to like go up already, and it's really interesting because it sort of like talks about like when you're dead, like what, like there's people watching over you, and like they want to make sure you're okay. Like there was one really sad part where like because the ghost knows that this lady is now a human, but like she can still see the ghost and they can still talk to her. They're like making her do all these favors, and there's this one that was like this dad just like really wanted his daughter to like get married, and then like in the scene the dad as a ghost was walking next to the daughter as she was going down the aisle.
Aww.
And it was so, the person I was watching with cried. And I thought that was awesome. But yeah, that was a really good one.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
actually.
you should watch it.
That's called what?
Hi Bye Mama.
Hi Bye Mama. Okay.
Yeah, because it's also her being like, well, I don't want to just like, because it's like her daughter could see her as a ghost, and she wasn't supposed to.
Can everyone see ghosts? No. Okay.
Just this daughter, because she was with her since she was born.
Okay.
And that's like kind of like a curse, because like you don't want to see ghosts because they bother you and try to get you to do stuff for them. So yeah, that was really good. What do you think? Chinese dramas? Meteor Garden is what I watched. I'm watching Go Ahead right now. I started studying Chinese also, which is like, I guess, a new hobby. And on Netflix, there's an extension you can get if you have Google Chrome called Learning Languages with Netflix. And then it like shows you the characters, the pinyin, and the translation. And you can pause and see like the dictionary definition and stuff, which is very useful. So I've been trying to like either watch like dramas with that or without to try to like understand. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard. And it's like I'm missing vital plot information. But yeah, that's my thing.
Okay. How are you? So the studying Chinese, part of that's through school, but then you're taking it like you're taking your own like ownership of that and kind of beyond school and trying to learn. Okay.
Right. So it's like I started getting interested in it over the summer. So that was kind of when I decided to take the Chinese class, and then inevitably major in it. Okay.
Nice. All right. Okay. Our next category is best purchases we made this year, which is maybe, I guess I was thinking about this, like what things did I buy that like I was very happy about. I don't know. I guess I feel sometimes like I shouldn't like buy things to make me happy, but I definitely do sometimes. I don't know. I got a new backpack this year, which sounds so dumb. But
where are you to take that backpack, huh?
I know. I actually haven't. Today is one of the first days I took that backpack out to be honest. Yeah, because I bought it after I wasn't going to work anymore, so I haven't been able to like take it to work. So, but it's a nice new backpack, and it like has space for all my pens and like all my like my computer and my like battery, like my backup battery, and like all of my cords and my headphones and everything. And it like has like I have all these little like buttons and like little things and like keychains I've tied on it. So I don't know. I always like it's really dumb, but like I've always really enjoyed like making my backpack something kind of like personal, and like feel like if wherever I am, like I have something like do in my backpack, I have something to like, if someone needs something, I can like maybe help them out. If it's like in my backpack, if it's like a charger,
an iPad,
gum, or like an iPad, or like cough drops, just keeping like little random stuff in there. I never know, and it's like a weird like just like a mom. It sounds so dumb, but just I like having all that little stuff in there. So a backpack that I have space for all that I really enjoy. So I got a new one this year. Second one is I bought a bunch of stickers from Redbubble and TeePublic, just like of things that I like, which is dumb, but I stuck them all over my laptop and my notebooks, and I just like looking at it, and I was like, oh, I like Korra, and I like Star Wars, and I like Into the Spider-Verse and Lord of the Rings, and like I just like looking at it and be reminded like, oh, these are the things that make me happy. And also like people are making cool stuff. Have you ever looked at those websites?
Yeah.
For like stuff that you like, people are making like cool designs for like shirts and pillows and all sorts of random stuff. So those are cool websites.
Also, on TikTok, I see a lot of people who are just starting off like making stickers and selling them on like Etsy and Redbubble as like a quarantine activity, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And the last one, I mentioned this on a podcast, but I bought like an MP3 player. Like the only thing it does is play MP3s for when I go running, and I can go like, I think I charged that thing for the first time in like 2 months the other day. And I don't run a ton, but like either way, I didn't have to charge it for like 2 months, and it has like 100 songs on there, and it's great. I love it, and it works perfectly, and I don't need it to do anything else other than play music, and it costs like $30. So very happy with that. What about you, Ange?
I guess the most expensive purchase, which is also pretty good, is I got a new laptop. I had a Surface Pro, but I quickly realized that I don't want a Surface Pro. And then it started acting up.
Yeah, it gave you some trouble.
And so I decided it was time to switch over and surrender to Apple.
Yes.
So I did. And it's really cool, except now I realize I can't play any games on it.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
Is if you don't have like Apple, they have that game things. They have that game like subscription service, but if you're not playing that, like you can't use like Steam on it, which is the big thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But AirDrop, the best thing
in
the world, because I have the iPhone, I have the iPad, so it's awesome.
Yeah.
As a student. And then I also got really into skincare over the summer, and like I bought a bunch of skincare stuff. I even got a skincare fridge that I no longer use.
You don't use it anymore?
Well, so what happened was I didn't understand that you're not supposed to put serums in the fridge, so they all separated, and I was really mad at the skincare fridge, so I just stopped using it.
Oh, they're supposed to be kept at room temperature?
Yeah, because they all separated.
And then they're not any good anymore?
They're really expensive. Yeah. I don't know. They just felt really greasy afterwards.
But did you take them out and let them and they felt
okay. Just no.
Okay.
But I don't know. There's no room to have it in my apartment, so I just keep all my skincare stuff in the fridge and annoy Calvin. But yeah, I really like face sheet masks and eye masks. Those are like really fun things to like splurge on. And now it's like, when you go out and you're gonna go shopping and like you want to get something but you don't need anything.
Yeah.
A lot of stores, because like sheet masks are really popular now, have them, so it's like kind of nice to like pick out a sheet mask.
Yeah.
Except sometimes they're trashy and make your face sting. So that's something to keep out for. But then also, I moved into a new apartment at school, and I was looking for things to decorate it, and I found this website called Poster Pagoda, and I got a bunch of Studio Ghibli posters, and that's where I got you that Millennium Falcon blueprint.
Oh, that was from there. Okay.
Yeah, they have like really cool, like vintage looking, like anime posters, Star Wars posters, Stranger Things posters, other pop culture things. The shipping, takes like a year and a half.
Okay.
Not that long, but like pretty long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. Which Studio Ghibli posters?
I got Spirited Away, and then it's not a Studio Ghibli poster. It's an anime poster called Your Name. It's a movie.
Okay.
Not by Studio Ghibli.
Okay. Why'd you get Spirited Away? Did it just look the coolest?
At that point in my life, it was the only Studio Ghibli movie I'd watched. So now I want to get a My Neighbor's Totoro.
Yes. Okay. Right answer. That's the one I want to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. We got like one category left, and then we got like a couple questions we're going to talk about at the end. And this kind of a down note to maybe end on, but I think, I don't know about you, Ange. I like this podcast has helped me. This is the thing that I was like, what did I do in 2020 that I
can be proud of?
Can be like proud of, right? Or that's like different than 2019, right? Because I don't feel like I did a lot in 2020. Doing this podcast is the thing. And I feel like a lot of it was like, I feel like I did spend a lot of time being unproductive, right? So that's that's our last category is what are the ways what did we spend our time being very unproductive? What were we doing when we were being very unproductive, or however you want to say that? I mentioned Destiny 2 when I was talking about video games earlier, and I probably I think I only did it for like 3 weeks, but I played like probably 3 or 4 hours every other day for like 3 weeks in a row. And it's like, if I go back to that game now, it's because it's one of those games where you have to play it sort of a certain number of hours every day or a certain number of hours every week to really make progress. Otherwise, you don't lose progress, but you kind of lose progress. It's just one of those games you really have to be, you need to be very engaged with it. Otherwise, it's tough to like get anything out of it, right? And so, yeah, I haven't played it for like 3 months, right? And I was like, well, all of that time is not wasted, but like it wasn't useful. The thing is, I knew at the time it wasn't useful because I was like, I know that I can't commit to this game the way it needs me, right? This game.
It's not a girlfriend.
No, but it kind of is. Like, do you know what World of Warcraft is?
Sort of.
Do you know people that play?
Is it like the SimCity Build It thing?
What's SimCity Build It?
SimCity, we had to do it in the STEM program when we joined Future City, and you build a city, and then like every day it comes back, and like the economy has crashed. There's a water pipe burst. And you just have to fix everything.
It's a game that really is asking for a lot of your time. That sounds like it's asking for a lot of your time. This game is asking for a lot of your time. You know, like Magic. Does Calvin still play? Yeah, Magic. Calvin still play Magic.
I don't know. I don't think so.
So I'm trying to think. So Magic is the type of thing, because we played that for a little bit, like a couple years ago, right? That's one of those things like where if you're not staying up on like Magic, you're not gonna know what the newest strategies are, right? You're not gonna know like, oh, what cards are like people keeping in their deck, and like how are they playing, and so how do I. If I want to be competitive, I have to know what everyone else is doing. So I have to be playing all the time, right? It's very much like that. Like if you want, like there is a way you can play Destiny and it's just like fun, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. But if you want to sort of like be competitive and be sort of in the thick of what's going on, you need to be playing all the time so that you know what everyone else is doing in the game and how they're playing the game. And like I can't commit like the minimum like 10 hours a week that I would need, and ideally like 2 or 3 hours a day. So that feels like wasted time. Maybe not though, because I did enjoy it while I was doing it. The second thing is on my TV, like there's just a YouTube app, and so instead of going down YouTube rabbit holes on my computer, it's like now I can just go down those on the TV, and it's like. It's harder to pull myself away when it's on the nice big screen and I can like go to the kitchen and get some food and sit down or whatever. I don't know. It's hard to pull. I don't know. For whatever reason, it's hard to pull myself away when it's on the TV. So I spent a lot of time.
What do you watch?
Watching a lot of people playing video games. Lots of Let's Plays. Lots of like. I don't regret watching like Thomas Middleditch. We watched Thomas Middleditch the other day. It's been really nice watching him. There's definitely some stuff that I've found that I'm really glad I've seen. There's this guy called Jacksepticeye. There's a Let's Player who you watch Jacksepticeye.
Yes.
His girlfriend is Gab Smolders. I've been watching her. She's really good at video games, so it's nice watching. So she plays hard games, and it's like, well, you're really good at this game, so it's nice watching that. A lot of videos that I did need to watch too. So yeah. What about you, Ange?
I downloaded TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's all I need to say, because I feel like if you are also around my age, you probably understand what it is like.
Yeah.
There's something about like a short video that you can just watch like a million of them. You know? So yeah. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot from TikTok also. Like, I learned how to like properly like do the lights on the tree, do them up and down instead of around.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it's just like dumb things that, and I could have a conversation just from like the sounds that they use in TikTok videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit ashamed of it, but it's fine.
Someone sent me like TikTok video. Because I don't have it sends me to the website. So I can watch the video on the website, but then after the video's over, it plays the first 5 seconds of a TikTok video, but then it cuts off, and it keeps doing that. It just goes video, but you only get like 5 seconds right before whatever the interesting part is about to happen. I can't, because I know it's right, because all these videos, it's like, I want to know what's going to happen, but it's really not important what's going to happen. But I see how you get sucked in, yes, right? I absolutely see it, yeah.
Because like after like, I think like every hour or whatever, TikTok will send you will make a video pop up where it's like, hello, you've been on here for a little bit long, turn it off. I blocked it.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the TikTok, it's like health account or whatever will send it. I blocked that account, so I don't give videos from it anymore because it got really embarrassing.
Don't watch out for my health TikTok.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But also I always have been a YouTube watcher. It's just kind of what I watch on YouTube changes.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch a lot of vlogs, but now the only vlog I watch really is Yura Zheng's. I started watching a lot of Game Grumps, and then from Game Grumps I found Jacksepticeye. From Jacksepticeye I found the world of Twitch streamers. They're not all Twitch streamers, but the people who I watch play Among Us, Toast, Sekuno, Valkyrie, Corpse. So I watch all of them now. Mainly if they're just playing Among Us. But I was talking to you about party animals.
Yeah.
Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, Corpse, and some other people. I'm sorry.
PewDiePie's bad, dude.
Okay.
Can't watch PewDiePie.
Okay. Well, he was a guest.
Okay. PewDiePie's a bad guy.
Okay. It's fine. I didn't know which one it was anyways.
Okay.
But they were all playing Party Animals, and that game looks really fun.
Yeah. That's one of those games you want to play, but on your Mac.
Well, I still have my old computer, so maybe.
Can you play it on that Surface Pro?
Some games I can play. I can play Among Us.
Yeah.
I really wanted to try to play Phasmophobia, but I can't play that.
No, you need a better graphics card. Yeah.
But you can't get a graphics card.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We'll see where this goes. I put this in here a little bit last minute, so I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Sprung this one on me.
Just as a bit of a wrap up, kind of what did we spend our time thinking about in 2020? Because, right, I think we had a lot of time on our hands, and, I guess whether you spent it, I know I spent a lot of it, like I was saying, with the TV shows, right? If it needed to be something really absurd that I was just didn't have to think about something else, or it had to be something that was really engaging with what was going on in 2020. So I definitely did spend that time trying to zone out and check out, but the rest of it, I did feel like I had to be it, what I was engaging with had to be responding to the moment in some way. And so I guess the words that I was thinking about this, I don't know if there's a specific thought, but maybe it comes down to a couple words. And the ones that I was thinking about were exposure and revelation, right? Because I think a lot of people were talking about the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement, the protest for social justice this summer, and then we're talking about we're recording this a couple days after January 6th, when there was white nationalists attacked or mobbed or invaded the Capitol building in an act of domestic terrorism. And I come back to these words, exposure and revelation, where we had this idea that the country was very divided, right? But the pandemic is also exposing the different inequalities, inequities, right? The pandemic is exposing it, and the acts of police violence, the way that police killed Black people this summer, right? There was Jacob Blake or Breonna Taylor or George Floyd, and the name Ahmaud Arbery, the names go on and on, exposing the two different countries that we live in, right? But we have to think, right? This isn't something new. This was always there, right? So it's an exposure, and it's this is not new. So something is being exposed that I had the privilege not entirely be aware of, right? All the years leading up, it's not since before Trump got elected, but in all the years leading up to this, right? It's been a process where it's just, I was like privileged not to like be totally thinking about that all the time. You couldn't ignore it in 2020. You just absolutely couldn't. It was, you know, how I like spending time thinking about what am I doing to help the causes that I believe in, right? What am I doing to like further social justice and the things that I believe in politically and socially and culturally, and you know, how does that how does that affect my day-to-day actions? How does that affect the way I do at work, right? Working in a school, how does that affect the way I interact with my kids and what I'm trying to teach them, what we're talking about in class. And so I just couldn't get away from these ideas of like what is coming to the surface, right? What has always been there, but what is now impossible to ignore. And right, it should have been impossible to ignore all along, but I and a lot of people did, right? How do we reckon that in our actions in our daily lives? So that's what I spent a lot of time thinking about this year. What about you, Ange? Don't mean to bring it down. No. Okay. So we're looking at a Google Doc. Angela just deleted it. No, be honest. No, like that's fine.
We're at different,
but we're at different places in our lives, though. Well, so it's fine that we're thinking about different things. I'm gonna hit undo on Google Docs.
I will say with what you're saying is that like as somebody who's like not really sought to be like, very active politically or socially, a lot of the things were like. A lot of like the events that happened this year were really eye-opening and kind of showed me that like I should, you know, maybe read like a newspaper every now and then. Especially like I'm adopted from China, and this year has definitely been me like sort of exploring like my Chinese identity more, and sort of having that happen as like COVID was just happening and suddenly nobody likes Chinese people or like a lot of people are not liking Chinese people. It was real weird.
Yeah.
Also I remember like when there was protests and there was like a lot of protests, there was like someone that would come by the house and sort of making myself like read more about it or like understand more about it. That's sort of what kind of pushed me to register to vote. So I voted this year.
Nice.
Yeah. Absentee, because I'm not trying to get COVID.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, that's as much as I have to say about that. You know, it's just, I feel like it showed me that I should try to, you know, pay attention more to like...
But, well, so put back what you had on the Google Doc. Yeah, put it back. So is that right? So you talked earlier about majoring in Chinese. Is that decision part of that thought process this year?
So I was also thinking a lot because when the year started, was just about to come into a second semester of my freshman year, and the first semester I did awful. And I also thought I wanted to be a computer scientist, and I realized like I didn't want to do that. So then it was sort of just like a lot of me trying to figure out what I like to do versus what I thought I would end up doing. Because like I was in a STEM program in middle school. I thought I was going to be like some sort of engineer, but not too good at math. Don't like it. Not fun.
Yeah, fine. Fair.
Science sucks. No offense, Mr. Science
that's
teacher.
That's fair.
Sorry, Miss Patrick. So over the summer, I interned at the Red Cross as a communications associate, and that was really interesting. Because at the time I was thinking like, maybe business, but these grades weren't going to get me into business school for one, but also it's like I didn't really know like what in business. So I decided to major in community and nonprofit leadership. And at the same time I was studying Chinese, and I was like, well, why don't I just take this further? So now I'm double majoring in also Chinese as well. And so that's kind of been like thinking about like what I want to do with both of those majors in my long-term career. Also, so the adoption thing, I joined like this Facebook group. It's called Subtle Asian Adoptee Traits. Subtle Asian Traits is also a Facebook group, but they're like Asian. They're not like adopted Asian. Okay. So it's like there's some like
they were born born and raised in,
or they're like Asian American with like Asian parents. Yeah. Okay. So this group has been really, really cool. Like I got a pen pal. Okay. I got to be on a different podcast. So that's been really interesting.
Okay. So you're like I mean, it was funny that you erased it in the moment, Ange, but you're thinking about all this same stuff just it's filtering through its own lens, right? But you're thinking about all this same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. Like, don't do that. She erased it again, everyone. Awesome. Nice. No, I kind of sprung that on you because I was like, I hope this to be interesting.
Came back from shower and there's like exposure and
that was good.
Heck.
No, that was good. That's what I wanted. That's podcasting, everyone.
Yes, we podcasted.
All right, and then our last question is, and we had this the other day, and this is something I was thinking about, like, because when I start, like, I don't know, do you ever watch videos on YouTube and you're just like, like, we were talking the other day, like, takes, right? Like, and you're just like, man, this take is really bad. Mm-hmm. No? Like when someone has, like, on YouTube has, like, a really bad take, or on a podcast, and you're just
like their opinion?
Yeah. You're just like, this is bad. Like, and so I, on YouTube, right, I listen to a lot, like, either people playing video games, but then, like, also on podcasts of, like, people talking about video games, and it just, going back to, like, I wanted my media to be engaging with the things I like, video games, comic books, whatever, but also what's going on in the world. And I had to stop watching and listening to certain things just because they were like actively not doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the reason I wanted to start this podcast, I was like, well, I guess I'm wondering what are, like, my opinions about stuff, right? Because I think it's, like, another level to, like, watch stuff. It's another level, like, watch stuff and then, like, have to try to, like, think and talk about it, right? And I want to, like, I guess part of this, right, is vain in a certain sense. I want to, like, think about myself as, like, I'm someone who can do that, and, like, I enjoy doing that. And so I guess maybe this podcast is, like, figuring out if I can do that, right? And, like, maybe we'll do 20 more episodes and, like, we can't really do that or whatever, right? But, like, I don't know, I've been enjoying it so far, but, like, there is part of me that was like, oh, it would be cool to, like, be a podcaster, right? Yeah. There's, like, a vain part of it. It's like, oh, it'd be cool, like, I'm a podcaster, right? Yeah. But that's not going to happen.
Well, you don't know that.
No, but, like, that can't be the only thing, right?
That can't be the main goal.
That can't be the main goal, right? And also, I think if you get there, right, then, and that's your identity, right, then, like, do all those, like, other things you're interested fall away, right? The things that, like, make you a nice rounded person, that maybe help you, give you some interesting ideas, do they, like, fall away, right? If suddenly your identity is, like, I talk on a podcast,
and then
right?
Your life just becomes like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, and then your life becomes yeah, absolutely. We should do have you watched all those?
Most of them.
Do you like Black Mirror?
They're pretty disturbing, not gonna lie. Like the thing with the pig.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the one Miley Cyrus.
We're gonna add that to the list.
Oh, great.
We're gonna add Black Mirror to the list. Because I've watched some of them, but I need to watch more of them, right? But, like,
they did a 2020 thing. It's like the same people, but it's not Black Mirror-esque.
I started watching it. I thought it was unscripted, but it's scripted. It's like,
I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. But so, like, there was, like, when we started this, like, I got a Twitter account for the podcast, and I was, like, trying to, like, figure out how to, like, tweet in an effective way so that it would, like, more people would see it on Twitter. And I was like, there was a point when I like think about it, I was like, this is dumb. Like, I'm putting effort into this, and, like, the effort needs to be in, like, whatever game or movie or book that we pick, like, engaging with that thing, reading about it, writing about it if I am, and really thinking about it, and then just making sure that, like, the podcast itself is good, right? Because that has to be enough. The podcast itself being good has to be enough, whether or not people listen to it. So I, like, stopped the Twitter and was like, you, Joseph, just, like, figure out how to make the podcast good and be happy with that. And yeah, so that was, like, early. That was, like, the first, like, 5 or 6 episodes. Just, like, I was, like, trying to do that, and then I was like, no, I can't. This doesn't, like, feel good to do this. Like, the thing that feels good is making sure the podcast is good. And we were talking the other day, I think we've done some episodes that we're proud of. We mentioned, what did we mention?
BTS Sufjan Stevens.
Yeah, the BTS Sufjan Stevens Christmas music one.
Boys State.
The Boys, I think the Boys State one is really good. I think the one we did the other day on Spirited Away, I think was pretty solid. Like, we've done stuff that I'm really proud of, and like, I think we can get better. Like, I think we like doing it, right? We don't.
This would be a really awkward time to be like, actually, Joey, I need to talk to you.
We like doing, even if we don't like doing the work for it, I think we like doing, like, recording the podcast, and I enjoy like editing it and putting it up. And then, you know, and I think we would like to get to a point where like people are listening, and like
that would be fun.
That would be and like
get feedback.
Yeah, I think that's a point, right? Even if we have like some people listening and like getting feedback. Like, a thing I was thinking about is like you ever like do you listen to podcasts where they do like question episodes?
Yeah.
If we could get to a place where like we do like a question episode, that would be really cool.
Super fun. That
would be really cool. Yeah. So, you know, but like, yeah, I think the focus for both of us is just on like making this good, and something we're proud of going forward. That is. Anything else to add to that, Ange?
No. I guess if you made it this far, you should leave a comment or something. That'd be really cool.
Okay. Well, so before we if you made it this far, comment, right?
I don't want to act like a YouTuber. Like, leave a comment. Just,
like,
you don't
comment,
have
subscribe,
to.
Smash that like button.
Fine. You don't have to like smash anything.
Yeah, you don't have to smash anything.
But if you feel inclined to, know that we will read it. Unlike the people who like at This American Life, like, they're not going to read it because so many people. Maybe they read it.
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think they read it? I don't know.
I imagine their social media manager goes through like their Apple Podcast reviews, right?
All of them?
No, not all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but some of them, right?
I mean, but not all
Maybe.
of them.
If you had to pick out, like, because I'm not going to link everything we talked about, because we talked about so much stuff, but I want to link, like, 2 or 3 things in the show notes. What are, like, the 2 or 3 things that you talked about in this episode that you would want people to, like, go, that's the thing you go check out?
Itaewon Class?
Okay, Itaewon Class. I'll have a link for like a trailer in the show notes.
BTS.
Okay.
And then honestly, like, if you have like a Switch or whatever, however you do it, download Overcooked and play it with your friends, because it's really fun.
Yeah.
And even if you're not like a gamer, you can still like get into it.
Yes.
It could potentially like ruin a friendship if you're like that kind of person. So I'm sorry, that's your like disclaimer, but it's really fun, you know, if you play it with the right people.
Okay. So Itaewon Class, BTS, and Overcooked 2. Mine are, I really think people should watch How To with John Wilson. That show made me laugh so hard, and I think it's so sweet and nice. Second one is Outer Wilds. Like, I think I'm gonna do like Outer Wilds and Hades, because I think those games appeal to different people, and like I've listened to people talk who like really like, and like people struggling with first person is like not uncommon, right? Just like controls are getting headaches. So like, and then Hades, right, is like that like top down roguelike thing. So I think those appeal to different people. And then the second, the final thing would, I don't know. Maybe, you know, it's gonna be that This American Life episode. I'm gonna do a link to my favorite. I think that's like the best podcast episode I listened to. It's the one from August 7th. It's called Made to Be Broken. I don't know. Sometimes they just make an episode that like I think stories are always good, but like every once in a while they just really stumble on something, and I think they did with that one. Okay, so that's
the podcast.
That's the podcast. We're gonna. All right, what do we say at the end here? I'm looking for
smash that subscribe button.
I'm looking for our ending notes. You can follow Angela on Instagram at glow.angela. You can follow me on Twitter at Joey Glowacki, GoeyGlowAcky. You can email the show by sending your messages to podcast@comicsly.com. And then, yeah, if you've made it this far, you know, we'd love to. Thank you. First of all, thank you. Thank you for listening. Yeah, we're gonna keep going in 2021. hopefully we're getting better. But yeah, if you have some feedback, if you want to,
even if it's mean,
well,
yeah,
I think we still would like to know, right?
Unless it's like I hate the sound of your voice. Maybe
we
keep
can't
that to
do
yourself.
too much about that. But yeah, if you can leave a review on like Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast apps, and you can leave a review or some sort of type of rating if that's a thing, and you feel inclined to do that, we would really appreciate that. We will be back next episode, or not next week, with what I'm not sure yet, but we will have another episode. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.